Round here, them guns get the last word.
Anyone else wants team battle? So on the topic of team battle, real briefly, right? Harada said, I have the book right here. You hear that? That's a dex. Inside the dex is a book. That book, it said that Tekken's Tag Tournament 2 suffered from just from being complex, right? Basically having too much stuff, too much characters on the roster. And I know how many, okay, you guys spam in the chat, where do you want the roster to end? When Tekken is at the end of its lifespan, how many characters? I say they should not go past like 45. Once you get past 45, it gets yikes. So basically in the book, they said when they added so many characters in Tag 2, it was too much to learn, but also you got to talk about balancing. It's too much to balance. Think about how many characters in Tekken 7, they never got balanced, whether it be a buff or a nerf, because they were too busy focusing on some other characters, right? So that's one issue when you have a massive roster. But then also for Tag 2, they said that just the game overall, the complexity of it in terms of combos and stuff was too much. If you talk about Team Battle basically being an 8-on-8, you would have to imagine that that problem would exist in some capacity. The challenge of playing many characters at a time is a difficult one, and not many people can do that, right? For that reason, I don't know if we will see Team Battle. Team Battle is kind of something that it's more so like a party mode, like a fun mode, and I do think we need fun modes added into Tekken 8. So maybe for that reason, it will slide in safe. But what I noticed about Tekken 8 is everything they're doing is trying to teach people and is trying to cater to people. And when you talk about people struggling to play multiple characters, Team Battle doesn't seem like it caters to that, idea of like multiple characters, multiple fighting styles, it doesn't seem like it caters to that. So I love Team Battle. I love it, but I don't know if Team Battle will show up. I don't know. They said they wanted to do an online practice. They said they wanted to do 3-on-3 mode, which is 3 players against 3 other players, so 6 players total, right? Tournament mode that was in Tekken 7, they didn't bring it back to Tekken 8 because they said no one played it. Also, too, on the topic of modes, it seems like that's a common trend where they add in a mode and no one plays it. Tournament mode, no one used. Tekken Bowling, no one used. Tekken Ball, no one is currently using in Tekken 8. So that's just something that I've more so been taking note of, is like how Tekken players request something and when it's given, no one plays it. You could talk about characters from game modes to many different things, right? In my opinion, bro, I don't think they should just continue to add characters upon characters upon characters. I believe that eventually that will hurt the game. Here's another question. Do you guys think that adding too much characters is a problem? Because pro players, they complain that it's too much to learn. And once you see the roster reach the 50s, that's when you start seeing pro players blown up by random tech. Because you can't possibly lab all those characters, right? And even on a casual level as well. This was uploaded 1 year ago, basically. So the question is, how are characters being chosen for Tekken 8? And this is Michael Murray's answer. I believe he's translating for Harada, but I'm not sure. But regardless, the same thing, right? Here.
Like you said, there's been so many characters if you look at the life of the franchise, maybe close to 80 if you include all of them, like Miharu and Slim Bob and everything we've done.
So this right here is every character that was ever added in Tekken. Of course, we don't have Tekken 8 because we didn't have Tekken 8 at the time, but you can just see how many characters is in the franchise as a whole.
We don't think that everyone would want 80 characters in a fighting game that they have to learn to fight against.
He says, we don't think everyone would want 80 characters in a fighting game. And he said things like this multiple times in the past. This isn't like the first time he said this.
So we have a limited number to start with, and we have to choose wisely. Several things that we think of when we do that. The most obvious one is popularity.
Basically, this is a small poll that was done from Event Hubs, and this is from California. And Asuka is the most popular character according to this chart from this is probably like 5-6 years ago.
And how do you measure popularity? Well, one would be how often they're used.
So this is a Tekken 7 most played characters. Paul was number 1 at the time, followed by Kazuya, Brian, Fakaram, Leroy, Armor King, Dragunov, Devil Jin, and King. That's the top 10.
And then there's also marketing.
So once again, the question is, how is the roster for Tekken 8 being chosen? And he brings up the topic of marketing. And then I went and got this tweet from Harada where someone asks him, is Tekken not popular in Asia markets? And he responded with, the popularity of major fighting game titles in Asia is about the same and not much different. So he's basically saying, for all the fighting games, they're all the same levels of popular in Asia, roughly. He goes on to say, however, in terms of Tekken share alone, Japan makes up 3% of the player base. And this 3% is pretty interesting because there's many times where you'll hear Harada say like Ganryu's popular in Japan or stuff like that, right? And I really don't think that matters. When Japan makes up 3% of your player base, if Ganryu is popular in Japan, it's different from if your character is popular in Europe, which is 50%, right? So that's interesting. But on the topic of marketing, it says, and even if Asia is included, it doesn't reach 10%. So Japan and all of Asia makes up 10%. Europe makes up 50%. North America makes up 35 to 7%.
You know, maybe we want to appeal to a certain country or a certain community. Maybe we choose a character that kind of represents them.
And that's why I show Lydia or Poland, because those are two characters that they chose in the past. Because, you know, EU Tekken is very popular in EU, so they want to give EU another character, that character being Poland, because Poland doesn't have a character. And they said Thailand loves Tekken a lot, so that's why they gave him Fakram. And if you fast forward in time with Azazina, they did the same thing with her in Peru, right? And Victor in Paris. So this is kind of like a common trend that they do, right?
And also from the development standpoint, there's various things. The story. For a particular installment, what kind of story do we want to portray? There's going to be certain characters that we need to do that, right?
So on the topic of the story, of course you need Jun Kazama for the story. Do you need Heihachi for the story? I mean, we will see where the story goes, but if it goes in the direction of Heihachi, then they will need Heihachi. Then he starts talking about what makes it like Tekken. And then of course I went and put the legendary image of King, right? This outfit's legendary. And when people think Tekken, this is what they think, right? This era of Tekken. And it's funny that Lei is here because a lot of people say put Lei in a game, but he's not in the game, right? What makes it like Tekken? People say Lei. But see, here's the thing about Lei. Even though people want Lei in the game, people don't play him. So what do? Do you just keep putting him in the game regardless of him having low usage? Or do you say maybe he could sit this one out? Usage does not equal popularity? Yeah, we just talked about that section here, right? We just talked about that section here where popularity and usage are different things. No one wants 80 characters in a fighting game. That's a powerful statement. There's one thing we can know for sure, and Tekken will not reach 80. I really don't see Tekken passing like 50. If they do a season 5, that would be 52. For them to get to like 60, 70, that means they will need to do like 6, 7 seasons. To expect the game to, I'm not saying it's not going to last that long, but Harada said it himself that he wants Tekken 9 to come out when the new PlayStation come out. He also said it may not happen because the new PlayStation could drop in like 2027, right? I think Tekken 8 will last until like 2030. I think dropping Tekken 9 at 2030 is like, it works, right? That would be 6 years of Tekken 8. You have to realize 24 DLC characters is a lot.